Okay. Uh, Hello everyone, and I'm just gonna jump right into it. This will be the updated showcase of how Designer, the UI Designer plugin works. It's just a utilities plugin for any UI designers. Few notes. The plugin costs $5. I know it's gonna turn away a lot of people. I will look forward into making a way to obtain it for free in the future, such as if you provide tangible suggestions that end up becoming a feature in the actual plugin, I will send you a free copy. Or if you provide code snippets on how to do specific things that I might struggle on for a feature in the plugin, I might also send you a free copy. Um, and a note before I start, the plugin receives weekly updates every Friday at 6 p.m. EST. That's Eastern Standard Time. Um, the reason it's weekly and not as the features are made is because Roblox doesn't allow you to update plugins more than 10 times a month. At least that's what I've been told. And I can't seem to find anything that would suggest otherwise. So I'm trying to be careful with the update schedule on this. That also means there will be bigger updates. They'll be bulky. So there will be a lot more features and bug changes in one big update. And I think it's just a better schedule for everybody who uses it. If there are really severe bugs, I'll put out quick patches for them so that you don't have to worry about that. But otherwise, let me just quickly demonstrate some of the features. So snap the border. Snap the border, what this does is it gives you a 9x9 grid. Sorry, not 9x9, 3x3. It allows you to jump and set the anchor point. So if I want my anchor point for the object to be up here, or over there, or center right, I can do that, center, and it'll allow you to set the position of your object there. Or if it's off axis, you can do that and it will center for you. Border offset, what this does is it allows you to offset your design by a set amount of pixels of any corner. So this supports scale. I just wouldn't use it. It applies it differently mathematically, and it'd be hard to determine what scale you want to offset by. So I'll just do this. Say I want it to be 25 pixels from the top. I can just click apply. See, this respects the anchor point. So this is gonna make it, it's not technically 25 pixels from the top. It's just how it calculated it respecting the anchor point. So if you want it to just put it 25 pixels from the top, no matter the anchor point, there's a button here. It allows you to do that. And there it goes. And here's a device viewer. So when you're making UI and you have this device emulator, you scroll through and you select different devices and whatnot. I kind of find this to be fine. It's pretty good. I'd say the implementation of this works fine. You don't really need this. I just did this for myself. But if you close the device simulator, you can see how it had that top bar, and then and then you run the device viewer change here. It'll allow you to use your device simulator with anything without that bar that has the information such as actual resolution or resolution scale type, etc. That's why I'm gonna use this, but I understand it might not have many benefits. Scale offset conversion. So by default, any UI object has position and size, and these can be set in scale or offset. This allows you to convert it to either or, back and forth. And then there's an add aspect ratio button. What this will do is it'll add an aspect ratio constraint to your UI with the calculated aspect that it needs. That way it's not just like forcing it to be a square, because that's what happens when you just insert one regularly. Ugh, sorry. Um, and then aspect ratio, I'm gonna update the name, but all this does is allows you to have an aspect ratio constraint inside of an object while you resize it without here since yeah. So normally turning this off, when you do anything here, you see how it doesn't let you drag it to the left, the scale it horizontally, because dominant axis is width. I'm pretty sure that's why. I can't remember, but it's a problem a lot of people face. And then when you drag it like this, it scales it uniformly. say you want your object to have an aspect ratio constraint, but you don't want to have to go and keep updating the aspect ratio every time you resize the object because it gets tedious. You turn this on and you don't have to click that. It will automatically update any aspect ratio constraint with your UIs as you update them if you have that enabled. So what you can do now with this enabled is you can scale it and it will re-update your aspect ratio constraint to whatever aspect it needs to be to maintain that aspect. Sorry for saying the same word so often. I kind of don't know what else to use there. This is really helpful. Uh, so say you have a bunch of frames inside of a scrolling list. You see how that changed. Let me go ahead and do that. It'll automatically add one, by the way, for everything if you click this button. Um, say I wanted to change the size of a object inside of a scrolling frame. You can easily do that with this because the interaction between a scrolling frame, let me just do 500, and then put this in here, make this invisible, and then, sorry, this is taking forever. Oh, it's right here. So let's say padding offset 50. And then all these 100. So you see how these are using offset. If you want to have your object in scale, and then you do that, or sorry, that was the wrong button. And you do that, you can see how it's gonna make it update and become vertical and real weird. So you'll add your aspect ratio constraint. And then the next problem is when you try to change its size. Hold on, let me turn it off. When you try to change its size, you want to be able to move it left and right like this. So you would have to delete that. Um, this just lets you have the actual object inside the scrolling frame while you can resize it without that glitch occurring. It's very helpful, saves on a lot of time personally. I found it too. I took a lot of time explaining that though, so I'm gonna go ahead and skip to the next thing. Bounding frame. So say you have two objects and for whatever reason, you can see it visualized here in a way. When you have them selected, you see how it bounds them kind of. Imagine you wanted that to be a frame to parent these. You can just click bounding frame and we'll make it. I know it does name the frame bounding frame. I've already internally changed that, so it will just rename the bounding frame to frame. For sanity purpose, because I'm assuming you don't want every bounding frame to be named that. But and then it will automatically be scaled, and it won't have an anchor point set, mind you, so you don't have to do that yourself. But now here's like the bread and butter of this plugin, in my personal opinion. So the native like spacers telling you how much or how many pixels are in between like the left side, up top, the size of the object, it's fine. It works. A few changes I personally would have wanted to them I've implemented in my custom viewport handles. It's currently a work in progress, so it doesn't work as well as I'm intending it to. I've been working on the bugs, so it will be better soon, but when you enable it, you can automatically see a change. There's some glitch like, yeah, disabling it will bug out the existing ones. I'll fix these problems soon. All you have to do is if you experience that problem, just close place and re-go into it and it will fix it. But this works by leaving a like a trail of where your previous component was, which I personally love. And then it also has the same spacers. It respects your theme, so it changes with it. It has a custom dragger, and then hide view. This is really nice when you want to resize and manually edit something that's small without the on-screen resize buttons like those squares, they get huge whenever you have a smaller object. Say like your object's like 5 pixels, those little squares that appear natively with the handlers are going to be massive. Same thing here, and it's for a reason, but the problem solver is just high view button. Just click it, and you can still move stuff around. And then you could also resize it. Just click the view button again whenever you need it. Um, Now, this is my favorite part. This saves so much time on resizing objects, is a clickable resize here. So what you can do is, say I want it to be 250 by 250. All you do is just click it and you type it and it will do it. It also respects your anchor point. So say if I resize it here with a anchor point center, it will resize it from center. Um, that's also a good way to catch if you have your anchor points not set properly. But this will use offset to set the size, but it will convert it to scale if it's using scale. Um, I don't believe there would be much of a reason to change that. It will detect if you're using offset instead. So if you want something to be an offset for whatever reason and you change the size of it to 50, it will just keep offset. And you can see it right here. The way to separate this, so you can type say you want it by 250 by 500, you just type an X, or it also supports 250 comma 500. Those are the two separators, a comma or an X. There's no other separators that are supported, so make sure you use either of those. That's about all there is to this though, as you can see. And it also has the centering guidelines as well, so you don't have to worry about that being gone. And then what else? So I did mention viewport handles being like the bread and butter, saving a lot of time. It still technically is, but another one of my favorite features of the plugin is default properties. So here you can set, these are just arbitrary pre-made ones that you can toggle on and off. I made these for my own personal reasons. You don't have to use them. There's size and scale. Any object you instance will be automatically an offset for the most part. If you don't have a plugin that automatically handles this, you can also do size and offset. Just ignore this. There's no reason for the toggle to be there. Same with position and offset, because by default when you instance something, it's there. So there's no reason for them to be there. I'm gonna remove them soon. But then there's also position and scale, and then there's text scale true. This just applies to every single text text label, text button, text input, etc. It's just a global text scaling, like that should be enabled by default for any text inputs. I feel like border size pixel, so you can ignore that. Roblox just has a weird border size pixel thing where it's like a built-in stroke. You don't need these. There's just like built-in strokes already. This is a very old property that should be deprecated but is not. So I have this just to make sure no instance I put into the workspace is gonna have a border on it. And then anchor point, you can toggle this and it'll allow you to select what anchor you want the like any object you're making to be like anchored to. So if I make a frame, its anchor points automatically set to center. That's about all there is there. And then image scale type, any images you insert will have the scale type set to whatever you select. I personally just go with fit every time. And then this part's going to be a little bit complicated, so make sure you pay attention and follow along. Instance rules is a complicated way of setting default properties for any GUI instance that Roblox supports natively. They just added something called UI shadows, and UI shadows is just like a CSS drop shadow pretty much. It just adds like natively a drop shadow to your objects, as you can see there. But this will automatically update with Roblox's API to fetch new instances, so you can set the default properties for anything. So say I want to select I'm just gonna do a frame, and then I'm gonna add a rule, and then I'm gonna add a property rule for background color 3, add, and then you have a color wheel here. Sorry, you can click and then it will automatically drag, so just click once and then click again when you're done. Then click apply, and I want another property of, well, there's nothing here I would change, so cancel, and then save settings. Now whenever I insert a frame, it's automatically going to be red. Say I want to add that for our UI shadow, add rule, add property, color, add, and I want it to be by default perfectly white. That wasn't perfect. Okay, apply, and then save. Yeah, click off of that. Now when I add a UI shadow, it'll be completely white. As you saw earlier, by default it instances it at black. Blur radius, like here, let me do 150, and then delete this shadow. As you can see, works fine. This is really, really helpful in my opinion, because like an object like UI shadow, it kind of just doesn't have any proper default properties. Like none of the default properties I see in there is something I would use. I change like every single one of them every time I make a new one. So something like this saves a lot of time. You can do something like I don't know how to explain it. You get the point, but on to the next thing. Now, so for this example, let me do like 250 by 500. I actually wanted it to be more like this. And then take an object, put it inside. So now you have this object that's parented in here. Let me make it a different color. And let me make this a different color as well. Say this object, you want it to be 5 pixels from each side perfectly. What you can do is go to Equidistant Scaling and set the amount of pixels you want here, and then per side. If you don't select per side, what we'll do is it will split up the pixel count between the 4 edges. So the left side and the right side will be both 5 for 10 offset on both sides. Or if you just select this, you can do like equal scaling for it. This is also really helpful whenever you need something parented inside that's more like offset from another. It saves a lot of time. And then nudge control. Nudge control, what this does is it allows you to look at the keybind, left alt, arrow keys. Just hold left alt, move your arrow keys, and it will nudge it for you. This is really helpful for fine tuning control of objects. And then maintain absolute size. This is something that should be supported by the Roblox engine natively because it makes developing a lot easier. So say I'm using scale for this object as well as this object. Now when I reparent this one to this, you can see it resizes it. What maintain absolute size does is it allows you to reparent an object to another while maintaining the size of it, so it doesn't rescale your objects while maintaining the scale size. It's really helpful. Saves on a lot of time because objects being rescaled on reparenting is definitely a big issue. And now for the last one in the tools list, zoom in pan. Zoom in pan is really neat. So if you select a screen GUI and click activate, what this will do is allow you to hold alt and click and drag, and it will allow you to move your screen around. And you can click control in your scroll wheel to zoom in. So I want to like fine control this frame's position. You just do that and you can edit it. You can ignore this bug right now. It's because the zoom in pan doesn't like work well with viewport handles at the moment, which I'm gonna fix so you don't have to worry about that when using zoom in pan. But like I want it to be a single pixel from each side right here. I'll do that, and then I'll nudge it. and you can see single pixel. And then once I'm done, just reset and it'll put everything back to where it was while maintaining the changes you made, the micro adjustments that you might need with a feature like zoom and pan. Um, that's about all there is to show in the tools. The other stuff is nice. There's a layout editor. So what this does is whenever you're using an object with a list and each object has a layout value on it, layout order value. Let me just randomize these colors so it's obvious what's being changed when I do actually change it. I'll just delete these two, doesn't matter. So you have green, uh, beige, brown, purple, and then whatever you would call this color, like a greenish yellow, I don't know. Select the parent frame that they're there or parented to, and in the list it'll show you the layout order number for each object, and over on the side you have a control for what you want like the position in the layout to be. So for green I want it to be number 2, purple I want it to be number 1. As you can see, it changed it perfectly. It saves on a lot of time as well. um there's not much else to say about it though. It's a very simple tool, but it's very powerful. And then here is another really nice feature. So you have an asset manager. Asset manager allows you to store sounds, images, and decals, and you can route them to any path in your game. All you have to do is game.starter.gui, say I want it to route into my showcase. Well, I'll have to put it here because I don't have anything in there right now. And then set. Um, you can choose any of these and it will add it to where you wanted it to go. So say I click this, it will instance a decal object because it's under decal. So it'll instance it where it's saved into the part that you routed. So you have to click the blue button to route to the location, and then the arrow in the middle is to route wherever your like selection is. So if you want to put something into this frame, just do that, and all of a sudden the decal's in there. You can also just click the X to delete it, and then you can click and type in here to change the name of it. And this is the asset ID. So RBX it's RBX asset ID semicolon slash slash, well, forward slashes, and then the asset ID number. All you have to put in here is the actual number itself, and it will change it. And that's about all you have to do there. To add a new one, type the name, put the number, and then you're done there. And something that's also really nice, I don't have any images put in the game right now. Let me say just put the portal in here. Let me take this, place it in here, and then background 0. You can see the portal. What you want to do is to save an instance into the assets, just select the object, and it has to be a matching type. Click the convert selection, and it will put it in here, and it will use the name in here. So if I do portal and then I click convert, it will add it, but it will be named what you do, have it in the hierarchy, so keep that noted. And then sounds, all the people designing UI also have sounds they have to manage, so that's something to look forward to as well. Keep all your sounds in one spot. That's really it for the asset manager though. The converting thingy in here is really helpful in my opinion, because if you have a lot of images you want to convert into assets at once, you just select all of them and then you click convert selection and it will automatically do all of them for you. Really helpful. And then theme editor. This is also a work in progress, but it will allow you to make custom themes. So if you want to, you can just click plus new, rename it to something, save, and then you can change the color like of the background, make it some random color, real weird, save, and then I go to like a layout editor and I'll click that. And as you can see, it's not very pretty, but it works. So you can come up with your own themes if you want to, and then you can delete the custom ones you have. You can't edit the baked in ones though. So all the ones that ship with the plugin, you can't edit those. You can clone them though to make your own, which is nice. But other than that, you cannot change them. And then let me delete that. That's about all there is to the plugin though. Let me know any features you want in the comments or on the dev forum replies. I'll try to make sections on the YouTube video so you can jump to different areas. Probably should have mentioned that before, instead of mentioning that at the end of the video. But if you need to jump back to something now, you'll know just to go down to the little bar in the YouTube video and you'll be able to jump to it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please leave a like and let me know anything I can change so I can make the plugin better.